Hey! 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 This is library.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Tell Me About That Book podcast. Short conversations about some of the best books on personal growth, mindset, fitness, and business topics with some of the leaders in the fitness industry. Today we're talking about Howard Schultz's book, Onward. So you can go to tellmeaboutthatbook.com. You can get the link for the Read It For.me book summary. So tellmeaboutthatbook.com. Read It For Me has a book summary there just for our listeners. And for today's book, Onward, you get it's free. You just have to sign up. You'll get the summary and the video and the text and everything, or the audio if you want. They're pretty short, so it's good. And you could, hopefully this will spark some interest and you can go there. Now, any money made with any sponsorships or affiliate links for the podcast will go directly to Inner City Weightlifting. So you can find out more about them at tellmeaboutthatbook.com as well. All right, for today's show, I have on Rachel Cosgrove, the best-selling author of The Female Body Breakthrough and Drop 2 Sizes. She owns Results Fitness and Results Fitness University with her husband, Alan Cosgrove, who's on a couple shows ago. They're helping change the way fitness is done. Rachel, she's a rare bird in that she has the chops to train others at a very high level. She trains herself for some high-level stuff, including different road races and obstacle course races and powerlifting events, but she also has a brilliant business sense. And if you've ever been to any of her business talks or masterminds for Results Fitness University, you know what I'm talking about. And it's no surprise that she chose a business book. Rachel, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Cool stuff. All right. Well, I figured you would choose a business book. You guys have always been someone who's recommended books for years. I remember, I think one of the best books ever was Tony Hsieh's book, Delivering Happiness, that I got from you guys. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about this book. This is one that I didn't read or listen to. Did you read it or listen to it?
I read it, and I actually read it a while ago. It was quite a while ago, and so I actually revisited it this weekend because I was like, oh, I better check that out again. And when I was looking at it again this weekend, I remembered why, when I looked at your list of books that I was choosing from, that was the one that stood out to me because I remembered it had a big impact on me. And so as I was rereading it this weekend, I remembered why, because it's just such a great book. So I'm excited to share about it. Very
cool. All right, well, tell me a little bit about it.
Okay. Well, it's about Starbucks, and it's Howard Schultz, who's the CEO of Starbucks. And it's basically, honestly, it's a love story. It's a love story of an entrepreneur who absolutely loves his business, Starbucks. He actually started as a barista at the original location, and he actually still has his key from his original location, which was in Seattle at Pike's Place Market. And he ended up, he got inspired, I think he was in Italy, from what I remember, when he got inspired really to bring the essence of, espresso and coffee and the whole, not just about the coffee, but also how they had, these little coffee shops that people would gather, and it was always the same people every day, and they would all know each other, and the barista knew everybody's drinks, and it was, just a real social atmosphere. And he was inspired to bring that, to the U.S. and on a wider scale. And so he actually originally opened a different coffee shop, something completely different. And then he got the opportunity to buy that first location which was Starbucks. And so then he was able to basically, from what he had already started, he basically took over that original Starbucks. And then from there, we all know Starbucks. We all know that it's definitely done well and it's grown. But the story is really about, him, it's a love story of how he's absolutely in love with bringing, not just coffee, but bringing that personal connection, that really connecting people to those deeper customer relationships and just innovating and just, really being the best at what they do. And so in this love story, as we all know, it grows, and he eventually steps down from being CEO. And they have some really huge growth goals. As we all know, Starbucks started to pop up all over the place. They were, we see them everywhere. They're like across from each other on corners. And this was, a period of time when they had all these growth goals that they were really pushing to grow the company. And while that was happening, he was not the CEO. And so it was a period of, I think it was about 7 years or so. Basically he realized, that Starbucks was getting further and further from that original vision of what, he had for it. Because they were in this huge growth mode, that he realized he had to step back in as CEO. And so he stepped back in as CEO, and it's really about him, taking this company that he has this love for and, really bringing it back around to the vision of what he had in mind and of, what the company was about, and really getting back to their roots of what Starbucks is. And so it's just, and the first time I read it, we were actually, we had to let one of our managers go. And so I was stepping back in as manager of Results Fitness. And so I think maybe that's part of why I, kind of, as I was reading it, it was like, kind of inspired me and motivated me to, really take the reins again.
Very cool. And today is, by the way, your 17th anniversary, 17th year of owning Results Fitness, right?
Yes, this is our 17-year anniversary. I can't believe our baby's 17 years old.
Can't believe college next year.
Right?
Reeds, that's why I was really kind of looking forward to talking to you about this, because some of the parallels between your business as well. I mean, one of the things is, how have you guys kind of dealt with that growth and really trying to remain to the original kind of plan, when because you and Alan are no longer, you're not there for the 8 hours a day that a lot of business owners are anymore. Like you've stepped away from those things, but like it was built on a lot of your personality and Alan's personality. So how did you guys deal with that?
Yeah, and I think that's why I loved this book so much, because it was, in 17 years, you do, go through a lot of changes. We've grown a lot. We've learned a lot. And the thing I liked about this book was Howard Schultz he didn't have manager experience. He was, like I said, he was just, he was in love with bringing this concept of, coffee and espresso. And that's the same with us. We really, we started our gym out of a passion and love of, really changing the way fitness is done, which is our mission. And that changing the way fitness is done was a mission in, creating a different gym atmosphere, similarly to how he wanted to create a different coffee atmosphere. But also something that was really, really important to us was providing a place where trainers could have a career, where they could, get benefits, where this was how they could support their family, where it wasn't a part-time on the side job, that they were, seen as professionals. And that from the very beginning, when we opened 17 years ago, we both, really felt passionate about that, because we had been trainers at other gyms. And at that point, a personal trainer wasn't really a career path. That wasn't something you did to support your family. Yeah. That was like, until you really figure out what you're really going to do. And, so we really felt passionate about that. And that was, similar to Starbucks was one of the first companies to provide benefits, healthcare to part-time employees, and, really all of their baristas, they call them partners, and they really treated their people, differently than, any, not just coffee company, but, most companies were treating their employees. And so that was, I think there's a lot of parallels there. I think as I was reading the book, with our vision of what we wanted to, create and, really to change the way fitness is done, just to really do it differently and do something that, nobody was doing. And it's, the cool part now is 17 years later, that we do have people that have been, that have worked with us for 10 plus years who, are the sole, provider for their families, and who have healthcare, who have retirement plans that are building, who have, and this is all stuff that in the original, our original vision we had. And so yeah, it is, I do see a lot of parallels with us and the Starbucks story.
Yeah. And they said in the book that, what was going on was this idea all these great like respect and dignity and passion and laughter. So all of their values, compassion, community, responsibility, authenticity, was all taking second place to growth and expansion and profitability. Now, in order for you to achieve all of these things, you really, you have to grow and you have to expand, and the profit has to be there for everybody. So what were some of the challenges maybe that you guys had similar to maybe what they were going through, obviously on a smaller scale, but did you guys kind of go through that at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a balance, and that's a lot of what he talks about in the book. It's a balance of, if you get too focused on the numbers and growth and, just more, it is easy to get, further away from what your vision is. And, we've always been very, I think part of, this book actually, gets me thinking bigger, because I see that, for us, we do stay very close to our core, our core offering, our core of what, what we really want to, and so Alan and I do stay very involved, and that was the cool part about reading this book, was seeing how involved he was and how, he, the emotions that he let, still continue to drive the ideas and drive the, and as soon as he stops doing that, and, for us, throughout the years, like there's times, where we're not as connected. And I just realized, that it always has to, like you said, it has to, we're the ones that have that vision. We're the ones that have that passion, and we have to remain the visionaries always of our company, because we see that vision clearer than anybody. And, as much as our team are, fully on board with our vision, we still have to provide that leadership. And that's really what Howard Schultz did for Starbucks, is, really provide that. Like some of my takeaways from the book, one was just staying focused on your core offering. Like no matter what, even if growth is a goal, and that's okay, but you still have to keep focused on that core offering. So like for them, it's coffee, right? And so, they started to see that he basically started to notice that as they were growing, some of the baristas were just going through the motions and not really caring, or, their espresso wasn't being made to the level that they wanted it to be made. And we're very, you've been to our gym, and we're very similar to that as far as like, we have, a certain way that we want you to greet the customers. We have a certain way that we want, systems that we all stick to. And little things like uniforms, or, things that people might not think are a big deal, that would be like, well, what's the big deal if they answer the phone a little differently? Or, like those little things that to us, it is a big deal because of our vision, like there's a bigger vision. And I think that's reading this book, he had similar things that, he was like, no, we can't, like for instance, when they started basically making the sandwiches. So Starbucks started to offer sandwiches, and that was during this time when he was out. He wasn't the CEO as they were in this growth phase, because they were trying to make money. So, they're just like, sell whatever we can sell. Like, and he even told a story of one of the Starbucks locations, like brought in all these stuffed animals, and he walked in and he was like, what are you doing? Why are you selling stuffed animals? And they're like, well, we're trying to hit our numbers, we got to make money. And he's like, no, like, no, and so he, with basically, he's looking around, he hated, so he wanted, whenever you walked into a Starbucks, you had to smell coffee. Like you had to have that. It's all about the experience. It's all about that environment. And if you don't walk in and smell coffee, then you're losing that experience. And so he hated that when they started selling sandwiches, all the Starbucks started to smell like burnt cheese. Yep. And that was like one of his pet peeves, was like, no, we can't do this. So I don't know how they've overcome that, because I know they do serve food now, but obviously they've made sure that the burnt cheese doesn't end up becoming one of the smells. Yeah. But I think, the other things that I took away, just the deep customer relationships and how important that is. He always had that vision of keeping the Starbucks, like, where it's almost that small feel. So it's still like that original location. But obviously they've, scaled it to, be just like that all over the world. And then, I think the third takeaway that I took away was just really, how much emotion and how much love he had for the company. And I always say that, like, people will ask me, or ask Alan and I, like, why don't you guys, you guys ever going to sell Results Fitness? And I'm like, sell Results Fitness? Like, that's like our baby. That's, that's like, we're like, we love our company. We love it. Yeah, we have times when it's, it's not easy, and but we always love what we've created, and I think that part of what I read in the book was just really inspirational, and just to see him acting out of that love and emotion and really transparent communication. He's super transparent, and he always is, sharing his own passion, his own story with all of the people that work at Starbucks. I really loved all of that. So those were some of my takeaways.
Yeah, and I think for you, like an outsider looking in at you guys, like for example, social media, a lot of times you'll post, hey guys, I just did this workout with the group, or I just ran in this, or I just entered this powerlifting competition, or there's all of these things that it's not phony to anybody because you're in it. You're still involved, and like you said with Schultz, I mean, a lot of it was they were talked about those small gestures, and I think anybody that's also been to Results or been part of your coaching group at Results Fitness University knows all these little things that. The small gestures like the thank you cards or the surprise gifts of a book or lots of little things, or the cards, the birthday cards for the members and the handwritten stuff. I mean, those are things that I know are super hard to kind of keep doing, but they're so important because they're really what set us apart from those big box gyms. Now, my next question though is, you guys decided to kind of train other people who are in business to have, a similar model. Do you feel like, for example, that, you couldn't do a Results Fitness only because of the nature of the industry, like have a bunch of Results Fitnesses on every corner, like there are a million gyms. I mean, it seems like it would be a lot harder for what we're trying to accomplish.
I don't know. Yeah, definitely reading this book, that crosses my mind, that was, because you do start to think bigger and think, well, geez, but that is why we started Results Fitness University, because we really feel like there are already passionate fitness people in fitness, and there's already passionate people opening gyms. Gosh, if we can just help, more of those already, people already doing this, help them to create an even better business and help them to change the way fitness is done, because there's already enough, people in gyms and, opening gyms that we just, that's the avenue we chose to go. The downside is our name's not on the buildings, or, we don't have. But, and so you don't have that, where you're like with Starbucks, you can walk into a Starbucks anywhere and you know what you're going to get, what the experience is going to be like, so it's, it's a question, I'm not like, we've never, franchising or doing a chain has never been, our vision of what we, really, instead we wanted to help other fitness professionals to, run their businesses. And we feel like we're making an impact, to help change the way fitness is done in that way. So it's definitely, it's a choice, right? Of which direction. And it is, for us, it's also a lifestyle choice. Like we always say that your business should support your life. And so, for us, if we did have all these Starbucks, we would end up having to travel around and, check on everybody and, make sure that everyone's, it'd be a bigger undertaking, basically, where being able to help other fitness professionals through our coaching group, we always say, we're responsible to you, but we're not responsible for you. Like we will give you the steps and we will show you what to do, and we will, give you everything we got. And you have to, but you got to do it, and you got to, that's up to you. And I'm not going to come check, and I'm not going to, but that's, so that's been our approach. And, and it's been, we're having a blast by, working with, seeing so many of our coaching members. I mean, people like Lauren and Jason, who are in Boston, and they've, grown, Carrie and Steve, we have a number of our coaching members who've now been with us. I mean, and you too, Anthony, have been with us now like 7 years, and we've seen their businesses go from, Ben Fogel, they opened with us, they opened their gyms with us, and we've been able to help them to grow their businesses and, really create the business and change the way fitness is done where they're at. So it's been a lot of fun.
Very cool. Yeah, I just don't. I mean, I hate to say you can't do that in my business or my. It's not. It's different where we are or whatever. But I just think in the fitness business, it is a little different. Like you can get a espresso machine, and there's not a lot of ways to make that espresso, right? I mean, there are. You can have different water or whatever, but still, it's a little harder for us. So the way you guys are doing it is, I think, is the right way to go. So very cool. This book seems like a good one. It's definitely something that I want to get to at some point soon. So, Rach, thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming on and doing this.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on and for I've ended up rereading this and getting all re-inspired. So thank you. I hope everyone checks it out.
All right, very cool. All right, well, that's going to do it for episode 4 of Tell Me About That Book. Remember to go to tellmeaboutthatbook.com to get the link for the readit4.me book summary of today's book, Onward. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher to leave us a rating and a review. Thanks to Rachel Cosgrove for coming on and sharing her thoughts and for discussing Onward. Any money made with sponsorships of this podcast will go directly to Inner City Weightlifting. You can find out more at tellmeaboutthatbook.com. My name is Anthony Rena. Thanks again, and I'll speak to you next time.